All right, I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call shows that we've got all the counselors here except for Craig, and we have an open seat as well. This is a time for an open forum. Did anybody receive anything?
No.
No?
Nope.
Just got a text that said that my dog ran away, so excuse me.
That'll happen.
Yep, she runs out of breaks out of the fortress that is my backyard and goes to the angry trout, because that's where the food is.
Oh, it's my dog.
Yeah. Anyway, so no open forum, close the open forum. Move on to the consent agenda. Typical 3 items for the consent agenda, this meeting's agenda, previous meeting minutes, and the approval of bills since the last meeting. So unless someone would like to pull something for discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Can I just ask, can we flip-flop? Can we put, can we
Yeah.
move
Guests first.
G up to E?
Yep, I was planning on doing that.
Or just move G up to right after this?
Yep,
Yeah.
perfect.
Makes sense.
I'll make a motion amended to the amended.
And I
Sounds
will
good.
Second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. I'm gonna answer this phone call from the angry trout. Hey, someone's on their way to get it.
Yeah.
Somebody's
I tried to move you up.
Sorry about that.
We're just gonna read the whole policy anyway.
I think, yeah,
We
just,
got plenty
we'll
of time,
start
right?
we're gonna start page 17.
We're just gonna go.
Okay, here we go.
through the
All right, we moved our insurance renewal up to right away. So Ben Peters is here to discuss our insurance coverage.
Thank you. Okay. So Security State Insurance works with the city and represents League of Minnesota Cities with your property and casualty policy with the league, and that policy renewed on 8/1 this year. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about relative to the renewal term. I guess first, there's a reduction in premium, about $2,000 this year, which is good. Unlike commercial policies, typical commercial policies, the municipalities are rated on, their liability is rated on expenditures rather than payroll or sales. So, and this year, Kim and I worked on on a little different reporting format with regard to how we reported the expenditures. For example, we took out some principal on payments on debt service, transfers within interdepartment transfers, and then any depreciation that was there. And so it really reduced the amount of expenditures that we reported to the league. And the league uses a 3-year, hey Craig, they look at a 3-year average. And so the reduction just in this 1 year of reporting had a 17% reduction in the premium associated with liability. So unless expenditures do something dramatic over the next couple of years, we can expect that trend would still drop because the reporting that we're going to do is going to be consistent. So we can expect that to help out any offset increases, typically property coverage increases. Mainly because you're purchasing more property coverage every year, generally about 2.25%, just keeping up with inflation. This year, I think it's nice that we kept up with inflation.
Right.
Maybe not as much, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. But so there's another factor that reduced your premium from the liability, and that was some scheduled credits, some experience modifications. You've had favorable losses at the city level, and so they added about a 2% improvement. So overall, you got about a 9% credit for liability. So that's good. On the note of liability, and as long as everybody's here, we could talk about the waiver right away? Should we
Yeah.
do that? Okay. So, Minnesota legislation provides municipalities, counties, towns, and schools certain protections from liability with regard to municipal tort liability. The protection involves a cap of $50,000 or $500,000 to any claim to which statutory tort limits apply. You have the option of accepting that and keeping that limit to $500,000 for tort liability. Or you can waive that right, and then those claims could be in excess of that 500,000 to potentially the limits of the policy, although there's some debate as to whether or not that's even sufficient. But in years past, recent years, you've chosen not to waive the tort liability. Before that, you did. I think 3 years ago, Chris Hood may have mentioned that if you decided to waive the tort liability, it would make sense to purchase excess liability insurance, to which this year that would be about $4,800 to do. So, for $1 million. So,
$1 million, yeah, like per occurrence.
$1 million in addition to your standard insurance. Yeah, it's your liability, which I think is $2 million per occurrence and $3 million general aggregate.
Okay.
Okay, that would move it up $1 million. There would be reasons to do that outside of the tort liability. The tort in and of itself is, doesn't encompass all possible lawsuits, right? I mean, this is a slip and fall. I think most tort liability, is from the negligent tort. So that would be slip and fall accidents or a city worker in an automobile accident, something along those lines. That would be negligent. Those are probably the most common tort violations or, claims that we would see. So,
I'm trying to remember why, because I remember that we waived it in the past. And
Yeah.
and then it seemed like it was a better deal for us as far as financially was concerned to not waive it because of the recommendation to purchase more then. But I can't remember all the details about why
Well,
we
it's just
chose
cheaper
to waive.
for you if you don't waive it.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the reason for waiving it didn't make sense anymore, I think. I
Right.
don't know if it ever did, but there was a council that decided they wanted to do that. Maybe the reasoning was, we want to make sure we protect our citizens. It's kind of convoluted in my mind that we can probably do a better job protecting our citizens by just not being negligent. We've got insurance.
When you put it like that.
Well-
I don't know why we gave up our limit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a benefit.
if we accept it and we don't waive it, then, I mean, that doesn't hurt us at all. It just limits the amount that people can have claims against the city for.
That's right. And most of these tort claims are small enough anyway, but.
Well, it seems like a
Yeah.
reasonable. So I think in the past, we've done a motion
It should be, yeah.
to accept or waive this. So does anybody have any strong feelings either way for the tort liability waiver or not?
I would say we accept it. Seems reasonable enough.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion.
Okay, so there's a motion to accept the,
And you mean do not waive, right?
we do not
Yeah.
want to waive,
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
accept the state's limits.
Yeah.
So do not waive is the motion. Is there a second for this motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Okay, great. So we got that done.
Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. I guess staying on liability for a moment, that rate, and this isn't something that needs to be decided, but I just want to strongly emphasize that $1 million in excess would also cover your liquor liability. So that's, if you're going to have, like, when you're selling booze, right, that's where your liability comes from. And like a bar or restaurant, their claims are usually related to alcohol. So you have good coverage, you have standard coverage, but you could have better coverage. So, but that comes at a price tag of $4,888. Okay. Anyway, moving on to property, very small changes this year. I think we either removed or changed a vehicle around, and then we removed the dog pound. Pretty small impact on the premium. I was concerned this year, and I think everybody's concerned about building values. We've seen replacement costs go quite high with building materials and scarcity of labor and some of those challenges. And so I did some checking, I read through the forms, consulted with the league, and we discovered that the policy actually is a blanket policy. And so even though we schedule each item, each building individually, but it's really just because we need to come up with a sum of insurance. And that sum this year is $31,661,000. So that's the amount of total property coverage that you have. So if a building burns down, you're gonna have full replacement to pull from that fund, right? If the entire city burns down, we're got bigger problems, I think.
We've got
than-
31,660.
We can
31 million.
go a long ways, and there is some
To build
underground
up.
equipment that probably would survive, and there's several $100,000, $1 million in underground
Let's step
stuff.
away from that
But-
scenario.
Yeah.
Too much fire this year. for
Too
my
much
liking.
fire, yeah, but it's a real risk, and so, but I wanted to point out that, that is the case, and that we don't have to be as fixated on individual buildings, knowing that we do have that coverage, okay?
Okay.
And as I indicated, that's an increase in about 2.25% over last year's building values, which were just under 31 million. So we've added about 700,000 in coverage this year with inflation.
Okay.
And let's see. And I'm not sure, and I don't have any real data. I know Kim maybe does, but maybe it's not handy about what the dividend. You're part of a pool, and so there's a kind of a profit sharing in that, and the pool will give back a certain amount of premium in the form of dividends. And it's, again, every municipality is in that pool. 2020 wasn't great from a standpoint of crime and some looting and some destruction and police liability and cyber liability. So the losses were quite high. So the dividends were quite low. In fact, I think the total payout in Minnesota was about half what the average is. So your portion was probably smaller than years past. But
Kim is nodding her head, so
is
that's
that true? Okay.
that's all we need from.
Um, The other issue that I think at least warrants just a general conversation is when I was filling out the apps with Kim and Mike, and we were talking about the topic of fireworks came up, and we have historically checked a no box when the question is very simple. It asked if the city of Marais sponsors fireworks. And we don't think we sponsor fireworks, right? Because we don't put them off, we don't store them, we don't advertise
I
them.
mean, we just pay a pass-through for them, yeah,
But
who
we
knows?
but we buy them, right?
yeah.
We buy them?
We buy them with the Lions' money
Mhm.
that they raise.
Huh?
But we never take possession of them. We're not the licensee that lights them off. It's obviously a lot of gray area.
Yeah.
They're lit off on city property.
It's on city land.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's
Why do we do
a
that?
couple of points of gray matter there.
I'm not sure Bob can buy them.
I think that's right.
Yeah. They have a license to like them, but not to buy them.
He's a licensed pyrotechnic, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm
But
not sure
does
if
he
the
carry
vendor
his
maybe
insurance,
doesn't
or-
work with individuals.
He does
or-
have his own, he has his own
Yeah.
insurance. So the reason we're talking about this is because you're wondering if we should check that box?
Well, I'm wondering, I want to just report that, I talked with the league, and they can't give me a very clear definition of what sponsor is, but they did tell me that the premium associated for us sponsoring fireworks is $250 a year. So it's not a large sum of money, and if it helps us in that gray, my recommendation is that we add that for each firework event.
I'm okay with that.
That, yeah.
I mean,
No, that's 500 a year then.
oof, wait a minute.
That's unclear. I don't know that.
That's,
I'll find
Per
out.
event or per year?
I'll ask.
Okay. Because we have
okay.
2.
2 events.
I think
But
500
even
bucks
at
is still
that-
okay for eliminating that kind of gray area. I mean, the fact it's, if anything ever went wrong, like, it would be so hard for something to go wrong because people are so far away from it and the way they light them off. Well, I mean, apart from the people who are lighting them off, I saw a couple this last time that were pretty low to the ground, but anyway, I'm talking about other people getting hurt, anyway. Not the people holding the punk, but,
Why, I mean, if something happened, the chances of the city not being involved in a lawsuit seems pretty small to me.
correct.
Yeah.
It's a
exactly.
pretty cheap way of ensuring that.
The city
so.
will be involved.
Yes.
Pockets will.
And we'll expect the league to defend us, so
So go with
Check
their,
the box.
maybe we better check the box.
I think we
Okay.
can check the box.
Yeah.
That's fine. We don't need a motion for that because that's
No,
just
it's just
part of our
part of the-
administrative stuff.
Well, that's really all I have. So unless you have questions or.
Well, I have a
maybe go
question
through
for,
forms.
for Kim about that annual dividend, whether or not we use that annual dividend as a part of, like, do we budget for that as part of our insurance payment? Or is that something that we're just kind of like, sweet, we got it, and we're just gonna put that towards it?
We haven't generally budgeted it because we don't know what it is going to be.
Okay, but that goes back to paying off the policy when we get it, whatever it is,
General fund.
general fund.
General fund.
And we'll
Cody.
give a ballpark for what it was this year?
No.
It's one number out of millions of numbers.
Well, it's a percentage of what we pay, you know,
Oh,
so
I
just to
get you.
get us in the right range, we're talking about thousands,
Yeah,
not tens of thousands.
right.
There's a formula that's used to calculate that, and I don't know if I brought it. I had the one from 2020. Yeah, here it is.
Just curious about it, because I
Yeah.
mean, in the overall moving, like, all the moving parts of the city, our organization, you know, a couple $1,000 is not a big deal.
Yeah, it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
You know, we'll still budget $300 for heating fuel and budget X, even though in a $10 million budget, getting that right isn't super important.
Right.
But in this case, it's not. We just don't know what it's gonna be, so.
It says that, and this was in May 31st of 2020, it says the dividend amount for Grand Marais was $9,000.
Oh, okay, so we're not talking.
But that may have been for 19. I don't remember that being that high in 20.
I think it was closer to 3,000, but
I think so
I don't
too.
remember for sure.
Okay. But anyway, so you can just see how that fluctuates.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep, well, that's a very small number. Okay,
Good.
cool. So, you said that this renewed in the beginning of August?
Yep.
So this is basically you doing a courtesy for us to show us this?
Yep.
We really don't have any action to be.
We didn't
to be
do
taken
this,
on
no, it's really just the waiver is
Right.
what needs to be actionable. But
Okay.
it's nice to do this annually,
Yeah.
you know, and catch up. And if we miss some things, or if we want to talk about trends or, you know, things that are important, or if there's anything that needs to be discussed, it's nice to keep a thumb on the pulse, you know. I mean, the league is a pretty comprehensive policy, and they have all sorts of fail-safes, you know, so if you have a building under construction and you fail to report it, well, it's still gonna be covered, you know, but they may penalize a loss, a certain percentage. So they're pretty forgiving, but, you know, the more we can be in contact, the better.
Totally,
So,
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
yep. Wonderful, well, does anybody have any other questions for Ben?
No.
And thank you
Great,
very
thanks
much.
for your time.
We'll
Thanks, Mike.
get back to our agenda.
Got it.
And maybe we should jump now to F. Because it actually was scheduled, although I really didn't expect anyone to be here to talk about it. We did.
We can do that.
Notice a public hearing for that ordinance.
Okay.
Yep, okay, so we have the ordinance 2020-01, which is, this is the second hearing of that. This is the public meeting, so we don't really need to do anything else other than have discussion again and/or have a motion to approve ordinance 2021-01.
What, we did not receive any comments at City Hall. I assume none of you received any comments.
Nope.
And there's no one here to talk to you at the public hearing, so I think that we've done that as much as we need to. And of course, we talked about where we weren't sure whether that was really required, but we might as well just go ahead and do it, just in case.
Yeah.
So okay,
If you're gonna now take action on this, you've already done a first reading of the ordinance, you can do a second reading tonight, and then we will publish the ordinance, and it will become, the new city code is official.
mhm,
However, because it's the entire city code, and we really don't want to publish the entire city code in the newspaper, instead we can publish a summary, and the summary is also included in your packet.
right,
So we'd ask you to approve that summary by motion after you do the second reading, and that's what we will publish. Okay.
yep. So just summarizing what the recodification that we're doing is largely renumbering and not substantive change to the actual code itself.
Well, that's true to the zoning ordinance. Like, we didn't make any changes to the zoning ordinance other than a little reorganization and renumbering.
Mhm.
To the rest of the code, I think there's pretty substantial changes in terms of cutting out some things that we weren't using anymore.
Okay.
And making some updates with statutes that have changed over time. Not any real policy decisions were made, I think, in the changes, but a lot of cleanup was done that is
Okay.
substantive.
Okay, that's fair.
And we're working on a list of substantive changes that are policy decisions,
Correct.
which will just take a couple of every year, I think, until the end of time.
So we have two actions for this. We have the ordinance itself, second reading, after which it will be publishable, and then we'll have the summary that will be published. We'll need two different actions for those.
I'd make a motion to approve ordinance number 2021-01, ordinance enacting the new
Read the whole thing?
codification. You want me to read all that?
You don't have to.
read all that.
We understand what it is. Is a motion, is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on ordinance 2021-01? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carries. All right, so then, with that approved, is someone interested in making a motion for the summary publication that is included at the end of this, right after the ordinance?
I would move the summary ordinance be published.
Approving it, yep, approving summary. Okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing opposed?
Done and done.
Right, there we go. Okay. So then the next thing that we are going to be doing is council vacancy discussion. So you guys have been collecting the letters of interest that have come. We have two in front of us, from two members of the community. Do you have anything you want to say about this as far as process or anything?
Well, I will say that when we talked about the process, we planned on taking a few steps for recruitment, which we've done, and also asked for you all and anyone that you might know to think about someone who might be good and ask them that. All those steps have been done, and so now you've got two people that are qualified to serve on the council in front of you. I think at this point, you can decide to pick one of them or to continue to recruit. And it's up to you.
Well, do you guys want to have a discussion, or does somebody want to make a motion, or how do we want to move this forward?
We did recruiting last week, correct?
Done for couple weeks?
Mhm.
Different,
I mean,
different ways.
I don't believe that our newspaper ads are the effective way of doing this. I think really the only way of doing this is word of
Word of
mouth,
mouth,
and
yeah.
particularly person-to-person asking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure how much of that's been done, because we're not going to take part in that side of it. You know, we're not gonna
Right.
go and personally recruit people to be on the council. That's not our role.
Right.
But we do have the work that you did with Patrick's out there. We've got some ads that have been out there. I think just the word's been out there in the news that we're doing this as well.
Yep.
And this is to fulfill 2 year,
Kelly's term
2.5?
ends next year.
Not even,
is
A year and
till
a
the
half.
end of next year.
Okay,
15 months.
year and a half.
Yep. Well,
Well,
good.
I'll make a motion. I mean, I'm familiar with one of the applicants, and I think we all are, but I said I would make a motion to add Tracy Benson to the council. That would be
Okay.
my motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second for that?
I would second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So Mayor,
Yep.
just quickly, you do have a resolution in your packet, so
Oh,
would
is
the
that the
motion be
resolution?
then to include Tracy Benson
The name.
in
of
the
person.
blanks in that resolution?
Correct.
There we go. That's 2021-11 is the one we're motioning and seconding for. So we have a motion for that, for Tracy Benson, motion by Craig,
Mhm.
and
Second.
second by Michael.
And it clarifies that the term is till December 31st, 2022.
22. Yep.
All right, any further discussion on this? Go ahead.
I guess the only thing I'd say is I'm happy that both Tracy and Tina put their names in. I know both of them, and I think that they both have done a good job, and I think that the council will change its appearance a bit at the end of this term that's being filled by this position, not only by that spot being open for election again, but others on the council. So I think if we pass the motion to appoint Tracy, I hope that Tina continues to stay interested, and we'll potentially look at running at that point.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
And I think that's it.
Okay. To say that I'm familiar with, we're all familiar with Tracy, and I really enjoyed working with her on the council, so that's my 2 cents. Any further discussion?
Lastly, we haven't heard anything back from Kelly that oh, actually, I'm fine.
Well, she resigned her position.
I know,
Yeah,
I know that,
I have
but-
not heard anything back from Kelly
Okay,
suggesting that,
wait,
no.
okay, all right.
I just saw her on the drive here, and she waved at me,
Yeah.
really happy,
I've definitely seen her around town.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I had, it's a small town, and I had heard something, so then I was just like, wait, what? So, anyway.
Any other discussion? All in favor, resolution 2021-11, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Carries.
So what might have been discussion, but, I didn't want to complicate things because it seemed like a pretty easy decision for you all, which is great, is that Tracy is on the Utilities Commission right now, and so is Craig. And this board cannot have 2 Utilities Commissioners that are city councilors. So one of them's got to not be on the Utilities Commission.
Yes,
And
can
we
do
have
that.
to recruit another member of the public to be on the Utilities
Utility
Commission.
Commission.
So we don't have to decide that tonight. I think we should begin recruiting for Utilities Commissioner. And then at your next meeting in 3 weeks, when Tracy is here, hopefully, you can have the conversation as a group about who amongst those 2 is going to remain on the Utilities Commission.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does.
And maybe we'll have a candidate or 2 to look at to replace them with.
Super. So that's,
particularly if they go out there and find them for us.
yeah, so what, so what you're saying, we can make an announcement here that, hey, we're looking for somebody for the Public Utilities Commission.
Indeed, we are.
And planning and zoning.
And
So-
planning and zoning, it's true.
Yeah, two, maybe
Oh, really?
even would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
missing, who's missing on planning?
Kelly.
Oh, yeah, right.
so that was,
So that, they can have two people on it?
They need, yeah, you can have more counselors on the planning
On the
commission.
planning zoning plan.
Utilities commission, you can't.
Interesting.
different statutes.
Interesting.
Okay. Great, so that's done. I believe that puts us at council and staff reports.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
that was
Wait a
a
minute,
sad-
oh, we got the budget.
Oh, no.
I accidentally X'd that one out when we got done with the insurance thing, so I tried to skip it.
Yeah.
It'll
Okay,
be
we're gonna do 2022. This is the preliminary levy. So the understanding of the preliminary levy is that once we set the preliminary levy, we cannot go over that. Typically, as we all know from going through the discussions with department heads, that the preliminary levy is usually very conservatively written, both with expenditure and with revenues. So, sorry, I'm on the wrong page. So we have in front of us Resolution 2021-12, which, I'll let you break it down, Mike, because I usually break it down and you have a lot more to add to it after I do it. So we'll just let you jump in there.
Well, there's two spreadsheets attached to the resolution that you've spent some time with already this month, working with department heads to talk about the budget. The first one, the draft budget and spending history, shows you how the levy is calculated using our planned expenditures and revenues. And I will say the difference between the version of this that you saw at your last work session and this one is that special projects line item has been bumped up $20,000, as we discussed last time. So we have a total levy then of $1,049,963. And then the next spreadsheet shows you how that compares to previous year's levy, and it's a 5.96% increase. So as Jay already said, that's the maximum increase that you're approving, and we've already talked about how we intend to go through some process to potentially change that or potentially use it in different ways. So we've got a lot of time yet this year to continue that conversation.
Especially considering the uncertainty of world events and local events, it seems like it would not be a bad idea to give ourselves that flexibility, understanding and hoping that we have the ability to make that number lower as we go through the end of the season. So
Yeah.
that's my thought on it. Any other thoughts or strong feelings about Resolution 2021-12?
Good.
I don't have any problem with this, with the 5.96 number
Yeah.
for right now.
Especially knowing that we have that. Really
We've got a plan.
We got a plan.
We do.
Anybody want to make a motion on that, or should I do it?
Was there something different from last time we met versus?
I got the same number and it says 3.95.
Yep, it's not $1,049,000 though, is it? It's $1,029,000?
Up on top. You added 20,000 to it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Special projects.
Yep.
Special
Yeah.
projects.
that bumped it to 5.9.
That's the only difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Debt levy stays the same.
I'd make a motion to approve resolution 2021-12,
All right.
setting the preliminary tax levy at 5.96.
I would second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on Resolution 2021-12? I appreciate all the hard work that council's put into this, that the department heads have put into this. It's a lot of weird moving parts
And
in this
staff.
organization. And staff, yes.
And
I,
it's-
He kind of said staff,
I hope you appreciate it.
department heads.
Hope you know I appreciate you. Any other comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, thank you again for all the work. Now, right, we can do council and staff reports? Got it.
I do have a question though that might affect this.
Yeah, go ahead.
with the second half of this building project, or the highway, what change orders have we
Ooh, good
been
point.
faced with that you know of?
None.
None so far that you know of?
I mean, they went
I was just
through,
wondering.
our biggest risk factor was, are they gonna find a ton of rock in that sewer line replacement?
Right.
And they didn't.
Okay, so no one has come before us as far as the state goes?
Small thing.
Because,
Are you expecting one?
no, I'm not, I'm just saying.
I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you were.
It just seems that the last time we approved change orders, it's kind of like after the fact.
Yeah.
They've already been done, the work's been done, they've been
Yep.
paid, then we
Yeah.
get the change order, but I just wonder,
If that's coming,
is there anything
they
out there
haven't
that's?
mentioned it to me.
Okay, I was just checking, because that would've, I
Would
don't,
they
it probably
know
wouldn't
they told
affect
you,
this,
or-
but it would affect the public utilities.
I expect I would have heard about it if there was a significant change order.
Okay,
I don't believe there is,
well, that's good.
which is really refreshingly good.
Yeah.
Kind of expected it, and it's nice to not have
It's been,
Yeah.
that. Things went well.
it's been really fun to watch those guys lay the blacktop in front of my house. And it's gonna be even more fun to watch them
To
move
drive
their
on it.
stuff away.
But do they do the other side?
Yep.
North side?
They're doing it
Today's the
right
day.
They're doing
today,
it,
yeah.
yeah, this week.
Yep.
This week?
They put down the
Oh,
first
alright.
layer and a half, I think, today. So it'll be done
Okay.
this week.
Later this afternoon, they were finishing up the 8th Avenue intersection,
Oh,
like all the way up the 8th
Yeah.
Avenue side to get
Get
that
rid of
bump
that
out of
bump.
there, and, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
that bump has
Yeah.
caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm grateful to hear that. That's really great.
Mhm.
Good question, Greg. Thanks for asking that. You're up, by the way, for council and staff
I
reports.
am. Public utilities, we had a short meeting. We're voted on adding another lineman.
Oh,
So
an
we're
apprentice.
searching for somebody to start into the apprenticeship. That was the only topic on the docket for PUC. And then we met last night, I believe. Yeah, last night. My days are all running together. Rec Park. Got a golf report. Golfing has been up pretty good this summer. The rain that we got now has been beneficial to the course and greening things up. So now they're gonna be starting the fall aeration of greens and things, getting ready for winter. But, numbers are up for the golf course and also the rec park. I think, I'll just review what we talked about. I think revenue for 2021 is trending up about 20% in the park. I think they're expecting a pretty strong finish for September and October. The marina was a lot more active this year versus the COVID of last summer. A lot of people didn't put their boats in the water last summer. This summer they did. So that was about a 40% increase in monies this year, which was kind of nice to see. I don't know, I think just a positive report for the park. I talked to a lot of people that come in the store all the time that stay at the rec park, and they all have great things to say about our park and where they stay all summer. So I think, we have a pretty positive response from our visitors,
Yeah.
Yeah.
even though it's been extremely busy, let's see, we talked about the new boat launch. I think they're on target to finish up. The concrete part of it is done, and KGM was awarded the ramp and the parking lot part of that project. And depending on how technically, I think they're supposed to start in June of next year, but if they have weather that's decent, since they've mobilized everything up here to finish up this job, they may go down and start prepping the land this fall get an early start on it for next summer.
That'd be great.
That'd be great, yeah.
So then we'd be able to, probably won't be ready till midsummer, but
Well, their biggest scheduling issue is there's times they can't work in the harbor because of fish spawning.
Right.
So that's why it was June, for instance.
Right.
Couldn't start.
can't do
earlier
anything
than
real
that.
early in the spring. So if they can get some of the work done this fall, that'd be great.
That'd be amazing, yeah.
Do we get a discount on the mobilization fee?
Well,
We're
you
not
know,
paying for it.
the DNR, yeah, the DNR might. I don't know.
Maybe they can do more?
That's probably why they got the bid, you know,
Yeah.
because their mobilization
I think
fee
they,
was
can-
pretty
yeah, they
small.
can save some money because they've already got stuff
Here,
here.
yeah, that's great.
Just depends how long those guys want to stay in Grand Marais.
Right, exactly.
They've been here for 2 years now, so.
Right.
Making friends, that's good.
So that's all I have. I mean,
Great. Thanks, Ray.
also, we're looking for I forgot. We're looking for another park board member too.
Oh my
So,
God, for real?
Rita resigned her position, and so now we'll have to fill that from somebody at large in the community on the park board.
Okay, so park board, planning and zoning,
Jeez.
utilities,
Public utilities. Everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Get
I think
involved.
the library board might be full now.
I think the library board is full. Okay,
So keep in mind, if you got somebody, talk to them.
lots of people to talk to.
Yeah,
Take your, pick your interest, right?
that's right.
And the county's looking for HRA members,
Oh,
All right.
so, really. pick
There
your
you go.
interest.
Lots of opportunities. Thanks, Craig.
Yep.
Anton, any report?
Yeah, I don't have, I missed the EDA meeting last night. I got stuck in that thunderstorm, trying to get stuff picked up and didn't get there. It was Mary's last meeting, so kind
Oh,
of
bummer.
sad that I missed that. But so I'll have to talk to Howard and see. So I'll update at the next one, what happened, what transpired.
Michael?
Yeah, we had a library meeting, and we didn't really have much on the agenda. Just checking in, making sure everything's rolling, taking a report from, what's her name? It just went out of my head. St. John. That's
Amanda.
right. And she was just saying that things have been going really well. The outreach to kids went really well this summer, and they're looking at doing more of that coming up. That was it from the library.
Do they have any idea about circulation numbers? I mean, of course, that's for a
I'm
different.
sure she has an idea. Would you like
For-
her to share it with you?
I would like to know what circulation numbers look like this year versus past years.
Okay.
Just for pandemic
All right.
impact on that, if that would be possible. This is the ex-library board members meeting.
Yeah, no, I'll
Open
ask
my
her about
head in.
that.
Anything else?
Nope.
And there was a CAC meeting and and an active living steering committee meeting. A lot of that stuff is there's continuing to go on the existing projects. It's kind of a lull right now, to tell you the truth, for a lot of this stuff going on. But other than that, I have no report. You guys? No, nothing?
I've got one more thing I
There we go.
forgot. I'm sorry, on the
That's great.
parks part of it. We did go with CJ Fernandez, we did go through a different presentation of the landing by the community connection area. So another rendition of that was presented to the park board
Cool.
with some new numbers. And I think where does that go now? Does it go to the?
Well, I think that it is what it is. The park board is providing most of the funding here, so
Correct.
we'll
So-
be developing bidding documents and come back here and, get the final say.
Right.
Cool.
And I think really at this point, until we actually get bids, there's not a lot more
To discuss. about that.
thinking to do about it.
It's just that the concept was changed to a different type of art.
Oh, okay.
That was the main.
And if you remember the CEC meeting, not this last one, but the previous one, we did have a conversation with them about what's their role in that project, for instance, since it's clearly a public art project.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone agreed that really the artist here is CJ, and that we're gonna let CJ take the lead, and he'll be working with the family members to come up with the right piece to use and the right way to use it. And that's what this is the result of, is him doing that. So I think the CEC feels like they're their role was appropriate in this, and that we did what they expected us to do, and, you know, this is what the family and CJ came up with, and I think it looks kind of cool.
So we have a plan and we have numbers.
We'll probably try to do a little more fundraising though.
Well, I think that's kind of what we discussed. I mean, it comes, didn't the park board vote to go with 250,000?
Yeah.
And it's about 37,000 over that right now, so
Well, we have another $50,000 grant from my triple RB that's
Right.
towards this project.
that can
in
go towards
particular.
this, so I think, but
Okay.
they're still looking at other fundraising possibilities, which would be nice, welcome to have.
Totally.
Because it's kind of expensive,
I mean,
part of
I'm
it.
just looking over Anton's shoulder here, and it looks pretty cool from here, so
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it later.
Anyway, that's another part of the meeting that we
Great.
discussed. Sorry, I forgot
Which,
about that.
which one?
Well,
Oh, well, because this one doesn't go all the way
no,
across.
that's how it is.
So we'll see these at a
Oh,
at a
so-
future
oh,
meeting.
this one, the
Yeah.
one that's got,
It's the same thing.
oh, it just looks like it has more of the
Well,
panels,
they're gonna
maybe.
change, yeah, the panels.
Who knows?
The panels
All
are,
right.
right.
Anything else for council and
These
staff?
are concepts of, and the panels are, no, I don't. have
Okay.
anything else.
Hearing none, then we have completed our business for the night, and we are adjourned.
Well,
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.